Today is Wednesday, February 12th. We're talking about a deal that's bringing an American teacher back to the U.S. after 3.5 years in a Russian prison, and why a ceasefire deal could be crumbling in Gaza. Also, Elon Musk answered questions about his deep government cuts for the first time, and President Trump threw more support behind him. Plus, Southern California is facing its strongest storm in a year. Canned tuna is being recalled nationwide. And there's a new Best in Show. We'll tell you which dog breed won the Westminster Dog Show. Those stories and more news coming up.
Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this.
President Trump is busy pitching his Gaza plans to the Middle East. He met with Jordan's King Abdullah at the White House yesterday and got a big commitment. Abdullah said Jordan would accept 2,000 sick children from Gaza. But he still did not endorse Trump's plan to turn Gaza into an oceanfront vacation destination under American authority. Abdullah said it's necessary to rebuild Gaza without displacing Palestinians, and that Arab governments would be coming up with their own plan later this month. United Nations officials have responded as well, saying Trump's plan to seize Gaza and deport Palestinians would violate international law. Meanwhile, Israel's cabinet backed President Trump's demand for Hamas to release all hostages by Saturday afternoon, or else watch the ceasefire crumble. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says troops are ready to resume intense combat if that should happen. In response, Hamas says it will only return hostages if the ceasefire is fully respected, and Trump called for the ceasefire to be renegotiated. To be continued. An American who's been imprisoned in Russia for 3.5 years is finally back on American soil. Mark Fogel is a teacher who was arrested on charges of bringing medical marijuana into Russia in 2021. His sentence was to spend 14 years in a Russian prison. But the Trump administration made a deal with Russia to set him free. The exact person who negotiated the release is actually a fellow billionaire real estate executive, Steve Witkoff. He's been friends with Trump since the 1980s and recently became the president's special envoy to the Middle East. This week, Witkoff flew directly into Moscow and brought Fogel back on his private plane. That was the first time a senior U.S. official went to Moscow since the war began in Ukraine. Once he arrived back in the U.S., Fogel was taken to the White House to meet with President Trump. It's not clear what steps the Trump administration had to take to appease Russia enough to release Fogel, but the president told reporters it was a very fair deal, and more details will be coming out today. President Trump's most powerful advisor just became even more powerful. President Trump signed an executive order to give tech billionaire Elon Musk more influence over the federal workforce. It tells every federal agency to work with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, to cut jobs and limit hiring. It says they'll all need to start planning for major cuts to their workforce, and it installs a so-called DOGE team lead at each agency. And that person gets oversight over all future hiring decisions. The goal is to get rid of 25% of federal employees, which would cut the overall budget by about 1%. But that plan is getting plenty of pushback. For example, the head of the National Treasury Employees Union says the American people are going to be left without critical government services. Of course, the latest order builds on several others that are aimed at reshaping the federal government. Already, DOGE has led efforts to buy out hundreds of thousands of employees and has gotten access to the federal government's most sensitive payment systems. Musk also says he's uncovered billions of dollars in wasteful spending. For example, he says DOGE has made more than $900 million worth of cuts just at the education department. But he hasn't given a lot of specifics. And since the Trump administration has also limited independent oversight, there are concerns Musk is amassing unaccountable power with little transparency. Dozens of lawsuits have already been filed trying to stop DOGE actions, and crowds have been protesting around Washington, D.C. But Musk defended all the work, saying, quote, "People voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get." Musk admitted DOGE has made some mistakes with its cuts, and some of the claims he's made about government programs have been wrong. He also says he'll keep making mistakes and saying incorrect things, but that any errors will be corrected. One of the most powerful figures in President Trump's first administration pleaded guilty to defrauding Trump supporters. Steve Bannon admitted to cheating fundraising donors who contributed more than $15 million to a crowdfunding campaign called We Build the Wall. The campaign promised to finance one of President Trump's signature goals, to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. But New York prosecutors say Bannon and 3 co-conspirators used nearly $1 million of it for personal expenses that had nothing to do with the campaign, things like home renovations, cosmetic surgery, travel, and more. And investigators say it was all under the false pretense that the money was going to fund portions of the wall. Well, Bannon pleaded guilty yesterday as part of a deal that lets him avoid prison time or any kind of fine. He just has to avoid being rearrested and cannot fundraise in New York State. Bannon also faced federal charges over the Build the Wall campaign, but President Trump already pardoned him. Some of his co-conspirators were sentenced to prison, though. Americans all around the country are bracing for extreme weather. In the central and eastern U.S., the concern is snow and ice storms. A half-inch of ice could build up on roads in the mid-Atlantic and central Appalachians this morning. And heavy, wet snow could bring down trees and power lines. Also today, snow, ice, and rain are expected in the plains and much of the Midwest. Snow totals could even reach double digits in major metros like Chicago and Kansas City. Then that same storm system is expected to reach the East Coast by tomorrow. In the Northeast, that means snow and ice. But further south, between the Carolinas and Texas, people are in for heavy rains and possible flooding. Flooding could also be a concern in California tomorrow, where meteorologists are forecasting the strongest storm in a year. An evacuation warning has even been issued for people who live in areas recently burned in those devastating wildfires, since the burn scars make rock slides and mudslides more likely. Los Angeles County has been preparing, though, by cleaning debris, installing concrete barriers, and placing sandbags in fire zones. Rain is actually expected to spread over the entire length of the state before moving east and eventually all the way across the country. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. For many of you, it's officially too cold to do much of anything. The upside, cocoon yourself and get cozy with Bombas socks, slippers, and more all winter long. I've actually been eyeing their slippers because they just look so warm and comfortable. And I already have so many different styles of Bombas socks that I adore. In fact, I just packed a cozy pair and an athletic pair for an upcoming trip to the mountains. And I love my gripper Bombas socks for Pilates and bar classes, or just not slipping on hardwood floors. I also have a variety of styles in no-show socks, ankle socks, and half-calf. I can confidently say I love them all, as in the best socks I've ever owned. I already know Bombas pays attention to all the details that matter. The fabric, the fit, the function, and they just ensure things like no annoying toe seam. Plus, for every item you purchase, Bombas will donate another item to someone facing homelessness. How amazing is that? They've already donated 150 million items. Oh, and they have a happiness guarantee, too, which means free exchanges and returns if needed. Unlikely needed, though. But just in case, you're covered. So try Bombas now. Head over to bombas.com/newsworthy and use the code newsworthy for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/newsworthy. Code newsworthy at checkout. Now, back to the news. NASA and other world-leading space agencies are now turning the Earth's most powerful telescope toward a threatening asteroid. It's the asteroid we told you about earlier this month, when there was about a 1% chance of it striking Earth in the year 2032, with enough force to wipe out an entire city. Well, now those chances have doubled. Granted, that's still just a 2.3% chance, but to be safe, scientists are going to be watching the asteroid much closer with the James Webb Space Telescope. They're hoping to learn more about the exact path the space rock is on and exactly how big it is. Vice President J.D. Vance had his first big moment on the world stage. He spoke at the Artificial Intelligence Action Summit, where he made it clear the U.S. is and will stay dominant in the AI revolution. Vance also criticized President Biden's administration for being too risk-averse and said it would be different now. Or as he put it, quote, "I'm not here to talk about AI safety. I'm here to talk about AI opportunity." And he called on other countries to step back from what he called excessive regulation. Though dozens of delegations signed a joint declaration about creating a set of principles for safe, energy-efficient AI systems that can be made available to the developing world. But the U.S. decided not to endorse it. Vance will continue his overseas trip in Germany. Tomorrow, he'll be meeting with the Ukrainian president about Russia's war in Ukraine, then give a highly anticipated address to the Munich Security Conference. Stay tuned. There's a new warning about canned tuna sold at Costco, Walmart, Trader Joe's, and other grocery stores. It's being recalled over a risk of botulism. The issue is with the packaging. The easy open cans can have a defect that can let bacteria in. No one has been reported sick so far, but botulism is an extremely dangerous illness that can even be deadly. So if you have any of the tuna at home, you're encouraged to return it to a store for a refund or throw it away. The cans don't expire until 2027 or 28, so if you want to check what you have in your home, head to our website. We've posted a link with all the exact retail codes in today's episode notes. The most prestigious dog show in the United States brought together more than 2,500 dogs from all 50 states, representing more than 200 breeds. And it all came down to just one winner. Monty the Giant Schnauzer won Best in Show at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. He's only 5 years old, but this is actually the third year in a row he's made it to the final round. Second place went to a 9-year-old Whippet named Bourbon. It was her third time getting runner-up. As for the fan favorite agility champion, that prize went to Vanish the Border Collie. Winners get a trophy, ribbons, and bragging rights, but no cash prize. And that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, a quick break. This episode is brought to you by Lumi. Even before I think about clothes or makeup for a date or even a work meeting, when I want to look and feel good, I grab my Lumi deodorant first. In fact, it's part of my everyday routine because it keeps me feeling and smelling fresh and showing up as my best self. Lumi has something for everyone, too. Aluminum-free or sweat-control deodorant, solid stick or spray for hard-to-reach places, not to mention the convenient deodorant wipes and body wash. And I feel good knowing that all products are paraben and baking soda free and pH balanced. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine that 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, well, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So use code NEWSWORTHY for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code NEWSWORTHY at LumiDeodorant.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lumi. Now, back to Work Wednesday. It looks like this could be another year for mass layoffs in technology. Just this week, Meta laid off 4,000 workers. And now many of these employees say they're worried about being able to find another job. 19 tech companies have cut workers recently. For example, Workday, Stripe, and Sonos. And soon, Microsoft also says it's planning layoffs. Last month, the jobless rate in the tech sector rose to 5.7%, well above the overall national rate that now stands at 4%. Analysts say artificial intelligence is partly to blame. As you know, tech giants have spent massive amounts of money on AI, but not necessarily new jobs. And AI is being used to automate many tasks, especially those typically done in entry-level jobs. So where are jobs safest right now? Well, the hiring website Indeed says it's seen much more demand for more in-person skilled labor jobs than white-collar jobs. Some of the industries leading in hiring right now include construction, healthcare, and leisure and hospitality. But if you are in tech and want to stay in tech, experts suggest specializing in AI or cybersecurity. Well, thank you so much for listening today and for sharing the show. And thank you to our insiders for all of your support. If you're not an insider yet and are interested in further supporting our work and getting access to ad-free episodes as well, start your free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.